Alright, let's go for audio sync. Hopefully that's working. Don't need a Monday with non-working synchronization. That'll make me feel like I'm still in Sunday when I should be on Monday because all the time is out. Let's see, what about junk that I pulled off the iPhone 6 the other night? Don't need that. Don't need this. Hey, Dan the plumber. Been a long time since I've seen you, Dan. Or has it? My memory can't remember. Joy. Hey, Pernov. I can't decide if you're up late or early. Maybe it's both. Let's see, I need some ventilation going on in here. Sorry about the elevated noise, but I need to be able to remain comparatively cool. Hey Greg, Peter, Fernando. Alright. So I got a stack of iPhones I need to get fixed up. Nothing special here, this is just a case of most of them are screens. There's one charge port issue that I've got to sort out, but it's probably going to just be junk in the charge port is my guess. Alright, let's switch over to the overhead. There we go. Bretway, Richard Schmarendorf. Let's see. So this one's a 6. Make sure I don't get these two mixed up. Don't want to get the situation where I give back the wrong people the wrong things. Alright, let's get into it. No, it's comparatively boring, but to be fair, this is pretty good bread and butter work for me. If I get 2 or 3 iPhone repairs like this, screen repairs a day, then that enables me to go on and do other things because I know I've covered my costs for the day. It looks like I've worked on this one before. That's good. Or is it good? Yep. Oh, did I even turn this off? No, I didn't. Hey, Andrew. Well, the charge goes in but doesn't come out. Oh my goodness. That'd be something. This is an iPhone 6. This is just here for a standard screen replacement. If I can get my shakes under control a bit, that'd be nice. I'm kind of running on a little bit too much adrenaline here, I think. Maybe I'm just nervous about being on a live stream, so oh my god. That doesn't seem right. You'd think after 100 plus live streams I'd be used to it. Then again, some people never get used to it. Okay. Maybe it's a lack of sleep, maybe because it's Monday, maybe it's because I've got other things on my mind. Like how to get a house and stuff like that. Hey Gustavo, Joshua, how much do I make on the average screen? I make certainly more than what the screen is worth. I always try to make sure that whatever the screen costs, I can make that money back, or I can buy another one if I have to and still not be out of pocket. Put it this way, I make more money than most people do in the city areas or more competitive areas. Is this the 000? Oh yeah, the 00. Where's my 000? Oh no, that's right. The tip just isn't really sitting into the Phillips head quite right. To be fair, I always do buy the high-end screens. I do not use the cheaper aftermarket ones. My customers will sometimes lament about that a little bit and sort of go, I can go to Townsville and get them cheaper. And it's like, well, go to Townsville and get them cheaper because I'm not going to use the cheaper screens. It's just, and I mean, I do charge more. Like I know there's people out there who charge maybe $20 above their screen cost regardless of the screen. It's just not a good business model to use out here because we do not have the volumes. And it's the whole risk thing. If you botch up someone's phone and you got to replace the phone, how many screen replacements is that going to take you at that tiny margin to recoup your costs? So if you're an honest trader running at those low margins, you're going to be an out of business trader pretty much shortly after you make your first mistake. If you're dishonest, then fine, you can probably run along for quite a bit longer. Yeah, quick fixes for the rabbit hole coverage, that's a pretty good point too. Because there's definitely no shortage of rabbit holes. Particularly when you're doing work for other shops, like you do their prior repair attempt jobs. So they've tried to fix something, they couldn't work it out, or they've just exhausted themselves and they send it up. And almost always it's a rabbit hole because you miss out on all the nice ones like, oh look, there's an exploded cap there, that's easy to fix, or oh look, it's just a backlight driver, that's an easy fix. You just don't really get those. And they would normally be your margin makers. Is the battery replacement on iPhone 7 as simple as 2 screws in the bottom, slipping out the battery? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it does obviously have the straps. It's basically like an iPhone 6S situation. I mean, there is a bit more trickery because removing the screen out of the iPhone 7 is a little bit more complicated. There's a few more things that can go wrong. But overall, there's no real tricks. Likewise the 8. Okay. But I do get a bit shocked at how many bad jobs are done for something as simple as, particularly like in the 6S series, how many of these come in completely butchered from other places when they shouldn't have been. It's like it's not a hard job. Sometimes it can be tedious, but it's not hard. But I understand the staff are undertrained and they don't really have a huge incentive. They're under time pressure too. It's like if they don't get it swapped in 10 minutes, oh, jeez. I just had to deal with that. Hey, Jan Zimmy. And Zach FKMB sending a broken ass MacBook Pro. Shoot you an email. Zach, where are you in the world? Are you in Australia? Because if you're not in Australia, then probably not a good idea. But if you are in Australia, then by all means. I just noticed that my microscope is off. It's funny, the automatic switch is running, but the output from the camera is not. It should switch over any second. Well, we're up. This is always fun. You gotta get a feel for when everything's locked in properly. There we go. Yep, there we go. There's a certain type of crunch sensation that you get when it's down right. But yeah, I'm a happy person, happy shop if I get 2 or 3 of these a day. Some of them you have to turn away, like someone just turned up with a iPhone 7 and it was a smashed screen, but when I took a better look at it on the back of it, you could see this weird crease line. And what actually had happened is the smash in the front, it must have been a very strong or very powerful puncture type smash, and it's forced the contents of the phone to actually push out the back of the back metal as well. And so I was just said to him, I said, look, there's no point. I said, but I'm going to change the screen and it'll either not even work when I get it back up and turn it on, or it's going to die next week. So just get your data off and get a new phone. That one's dead. Because basically the punch was right around about there. It went all the way through. I mean, sure, I might have been able to get that screen to work for today, but if it dies tomorrow, I'm the one that's going to be up for it. And then I'll probably be blamed for the fact that the phone did die, even though it was nothing to do with me. Sometimes being a little bit painfully honest up front is greatly beneficial for you in the long run. Oh, you're in Brizzy. Oh, beauty. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm up inland from Townsville, up north. So yeah, definitely. That won't be a problem at all. I do quite a lot of jobs from people in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Southport, whatever you want to call it. Sunshine Coast too. So yeah, that won't be a problem at all. Well, I don't know for sure, Greg. The person said it was doing stuff, but I just sort of went, yeah. I wasn't willing to risk it. Just the process of taking the screen off alone would probably be enough to cause it to die. It's a bit like that one the other night, that iPhone 6 that we did the data recovery on. It worked while it was still in the chassis, and I was able to get the data off. But then as soon as I took it out, it stopped working. I have not been able to get that thing to come back up again. So the customer was perfectly happy to have their data naturally. But it was definitely a good example of how such damage can end up biting you in the butt if you're not careful. Alright, that one's good. I'm going to assume touch will work on that. Let that boot up and then we'll check that out. What have we got? Okay, so next one. Another 6. Yep. Hey Sonia, good to see you. Hope you're being alright. Jan, are you taking a jab at Lewis there about his bikes and his real estate? Lewis Rossman videos are a lifestyle selection now. is branching out and becoming dynamic. No more everyday boring computer repairs. Now you get to live the whole experience. And we already get the mukbang from him. Who was it? It looks like this one I haven't touched before. It looks like... It's hard to say. I can't tell if it's had a screen replacement before. It felt very easy to open, but it is a 6, so it doesn't have the adhesive. Alright, where's my markers? Cat videos every day. Well, I could do cat videos every day, but the little rat bags have been really draining our sleep lately. It's the trouble when you get beyond a certain number of cats, or animals, or children, I dare say. It seems that they just tag team, and every night, at least one of them gets up to enough mischief to keep you from sleeping properly. But we even built them a nice, 50 square meter courtyard now. It's still not enough for them. Actually, it's bigger than 50 square meters, I think. Oh well, anyway, it's a nice sized courtyard. Bigger than what a lot of cats or dogs get for their entire lives. And it's still not enough. Hey, Travis. Need glasses. I probably should be wearing glasses, but I can barely see the heads on the screws, or at least what type they are. The biggest problem I've got right now is this driver is just too big. It needs to be like about that sort of length there. It needs to be a good 25-30 millimeters shorter. Fur babies are better than... I tend to agree, yep. I was reading a story or article the other day stating that here in Australia they think by about 2030 or 2040 there'll be more people not having children than there are people having children. The concept of a childless couple is something that's very difficult to get people to socially accept. Yet there's a vast majority, well, not a vast majority, there's a vast number of people now going that way. And I can understand because you throw in career commitments and just everything else. There's no time to have kids, and they're as expensive as heck if you want to do them right. So you almost need a third person in your relationship, someone to actually raise the kids or something. And it's more than just money, it's the time thing. I don't know how people manage, to be honest. Where did they go? My little sensor guy. Oh, it's okay. Found it. Into the trash. Hey, Rodrigo. Lewis is the Paul Hogan of New York City. I was going to say, that's not a soldering iron. This is a soldering iron, yeah. Yeah, Sonia, I think that's one of the funny things is, in order to be able to constantly grow our population, we are going to need to steadily increase our immigrant intake. But the thing is, Australia is, for all intents and purposes, a country of immigrants right from the very start. Like even 60,000 years back. We all migrated over here from somewhere else. Admittingly, the numbers have sort of ramped up quite dramatically in the last 250 odd years, but ultimately, I mean, Australia, I was going to say, we had the Greeks and the Irish, the English, they're all the Chinese, they're all coming over here and making their lives. Before humans got here, it was pretty much a great big land for great big animals. And then we kind of took them out. Grandparents. Actually, that's what the story was about now that I remember. It was about how there are people missing out on being grandparents and how they're coping with that and things like that. And I can sort of understand it's a bit of a disappointment for them, but it was good to see that all of them, at least the ones interviewed, were saying, well, we can't force our kids to have kids, so but it'd be nice. Anyway, so I'm depriving my parents of having kids. Fortunately, my sister had children, so I guess that kind of alleviates things a little bit. Dodge that bullet. Are spiders bad in Australia? Here they are terrible. Basically we've got the Australian redback, which is a little spider, it's not that big. Hides around in little crevices, around door frames and brickwork, things like that. And to be honest, to get bitten by one of them is pretty damn bad luck on your behalf, because they're pretty disinclined to bite. They're in awkward locations, and so if you manage to get bitten, you must have really just had a string of bad luck. And they're not generally fatal bites, but they really do mess you up for a while. My own father's been bitten by one. Now, the Sydney funnel web, on the other hand, that is quite a bit more severe. That will take you out. Again, predominantly bad luck if you get bitten by one. I'd say the greater risk in Australia is probably, people would say snakes, but really snakes, for the most part, if you keep your brains about you, they're not a trouble either. You give a chance for a snake to escape away from you, they will. I don't think there's any snake in Australia that genuinely will pursue a human or any creature bigger than it in some sort of like attack type mode. They will fake an attack to try and get you to back up so that they can then get their escape, but they don't actually hunt you down or anything like that. If you hear stories about that happening, it's usually because from your perspective, if you are being attacked, it seems pretty real. But in reality, the snake is just trying to get you out of the way so it can escape. Brown snakes in particular, eastern browns, they seem to have learnt that technique just either through evolutionary or whatever. So they will tend to look like they're trying to attack you, but it is definitely one of their just techniques to get out of the way. Pets are the new kids. Cheaper? Yeah, generally cheaper. Until something goes wrong, and then they can be quite expensive. Certainly cheaper getting through school. You don't have to buy them cars or houses or anything like that. Well, certainly not large houses. Although you do need the property to house them properly. Could you do screen repairs on a Samsung 7 S7? Not a full replacement. Nope. I don't do those. And I don't think you can do a split repair on those anyway. Or maybe you can, I don't know. I gave up on Samsung after they changed things around on the S5. Oh yeah, I dare say, yeah, being a Sparky, you will definitely encounter a whole bunch of things in scary places. I need to get a Sparky out here too soon. Oops. I do not envy the job of being a Sparky. I mean, you gotta get up into those hot crawl spaces and, it's just no thanks. So I applaud you for taking on that job. I do wish I had the qualifications to do certain things with household electrical, but I don't know. I'll probably shock myself a few too many times and do a dodgy job. Likewise, plumbers. I think plumbers are also one of those people that, or one of those professions that really could do with a little more respect at times. Of course, when things go wrong, then people fully respect a plumber. Yeah, Sparky is an electrician. Someone asking me stuff. Okay, so that phone's good now. I guess I better check that the digits work. Okay, that's good enough for me. Home button works. Yep. Okay, it's another one on the queue. Sort it out. They fixing things? Yeah, 110 is still comparatively safe, but 240 is enough to... 240 is enough to definitely mess you up. Okay. Crotch cam time as I see what's going on with this. Right, a little more. Yeah. This is excising an abscess. Okay, nowhere near as fun as that, but it's still similar. Something's jamming all that junk in that one corner. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a blow. Right, so half cleared, the other half stuck. Yeah, it's looking a bit healthier. Hey, we got it. Almost. Nice. I used to use a toothpick, but now I just find tweezers are good enough. Okay, let's see. We're pulling 1 amp. We've got a battery symbol, so I think we're good on that one. See if it pops up in a bit. Yeah, it's good old pocket lint. Random, there's a seed there too. At least that one's actually removable. Had some real disgusting ones over the time. Well, when it comes to getting shocked, it's a combination of the volts and the amps. And as for killing you, that's a bit of a timing, position, everything type combination. And this person's going to have a real hard time hearing, actually. Looking at the earpiece port, look at that. That's how you're supposed to hear out of that. Right, we'll fix that up too. So this is more of a general service. They've got 2 phones in here for fixing up, so I might not actually charge for this one. I guess we'll see. See how much of a jerk they are to me. Yep, that one's displacing. Might actually have to take this one off and do it properly. Might. Where's my microscopic tweezers? Come on, man. Where'd you put them? Ah. How do I get started out there and having people bring me repairs? That's one of those questions, kind of like, it's very much a chicken and egg thing. The way I restarted here in this town was I went on to the Facebook community group for the town and just simply started advertising like once a day. And so you start out slow, but then over time it picks up. Word of mouth helps a lot. Solder Sucker. Yeah, I don't think Solder Sucker's going to really quite have the draw on this. Anyway, that's good enough. They can actually hear out of that now. Still charging. Charging rate's a little low on it, but it could be because it's an old battery. Alright, what have we got here? Success. Success with screen issues. Apparently you touch it and it just goes spack. I can see there's defects running down the screen vertically. The faint lines, but they're there. I feel like a dog trying to dig a hole here. No, alright, fine. Just going to have to disassemble you alive. No anesthetic for you, buddy. You're going under this procedure awake. eBay is actually probably one place I wouldn't suggest going. At least not these days. Maybe, 10 years ago, sure. But these days, I think it's too much of a toxic place. You're going to end up with customers that will make you pretty much not want to do any more work. Hey, Turkey. Canon. Whereabouts in Turkey are you? Okay, just making out a little slice knife. The screen is damaged, so I don't know why I care, but I just like to still get them off in one piece. go. And the first few times doing success screens was terrifying. So we've got liquid damage up top. It's going to be no fun. Yeah, exactly, Pernov. It's just become a toxic market. If you're advertising there, then you're shonky. If you're buying from there, you're shonky. And I buy lots of things from there, so I must be really shonky. To be fair, the things I buy from there are dodgy type things, like broken MacBooks. So I guess that sort of proves it. Come on, up you get. Come on, there we go. Yeah, Richard, it was quite nice in the early 2000s, but you're right, it just degenerated. Yeah, so we've got corrosion there, we've got rust, all sorts of things. Yeah, when you look at these phones up close under the microscope, it makes you realize why we wear gloves. That's just hideous. Looks like it's predominantly just constrained to the chassis in this case. I've got salt of some sort down here. Now this person's a butcher, so I'm wondering whether they got something like potassium nitrate in it or something. Or just salty water. Ah yeah, I can see it's all run down the side here. All down here. We'll see what we can do. Looks like it is still just limited to the chassis, but it could actually be human sweat too, that's the other thing. Hey, Fix. Hey, Defcon. That's a little, oops, a little rusty on that one. Just better answer this message. Unfortunately, I had to redirect someone to another service, sending something down a bill of A1 mobiles, because I do not have the gear required to repair an iPhone 10 or get the data off an iPhone 10 properly. I don't have one of those preheat units that let you separate the boards or any of the diagnostic tools. I do have a couple of iPhone 10s here that I one day should have a look at. They're just my own that I've picked up from customers. But yeah, it's just a case of, well, that's probably another couple of $100 worth of stuff I got to buy to get into them. And I'm already pretty busy with everything else, so there's no compelling drive for me at this point to get those extra bits yet. Def Palms when you're putting them all up, or your videos. Yeah, that's it, Greg. Yeah, the jig's like 150. The separator's about 100 for a good one that doesn't ruin the phone when you look away. Yeah, just all the little bits and pieces that add up. And yeah, they're good investments, but at the moment I can't make the business case for it to myself. Let's see, lethal one. Thank you. Take some of Lewis's money. Oh, that's fun. Okay, that screw is well and truly dead. Have you ever put shrimp on the barbie with Bushka? No. Am I Team Oreo? No. I'm Team Micro. Alright, so we've got to get this out. Because I need the backplate, that's why. No other reason. Let's see, what do we got? See if I can get it to rattle loose. Since I don't have a rattle gun for something this size. No. Alright. Gonna have to be edge nippers. Why no iPads? Mostly because they take up a fair bit of room. They're fickle as anything. And again, I do the occasional iPad, particularly if it's already been opened. Then I'll contemplate it. Yeah, all this just so I can get a backplate off. Come on, you're almost there. Yay! Throw that straight into the bin. The hilarious thing is we don't even have shrimp in Australia, we have prawns. And to the best of my knowledge, they are actually rather different creatures. I mean, superficially they look very similar. But we put prawns on... We really don't put them on the barbie that much either. We'll put barramundi on the barbie. We'll put steak on the barbie. Snags on the barbie. But not shrimp. No siree. Pianov I don't, no. Partially I sort of don't really feel comfortable yet doing that. There's some weirdos out there. Holy sweet Bridget, that's a messed up. How is this phone even still alive? That's messed up, man. It's not even really water damage. I think it's just sweat or... Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a liquid damage of some sort. That's messed up. So I'm amazed the phone itself actually isn't more damaged. And I have to scratch this back too, because otherwise what will happen is there's these little high spots. They will push into the screen and create little hot spots on the screen display. Now if I had a spare 6S backplate, do I maybe actually? You may have heard me saying the other night I don't have that many 6S spares, and it's true, I don't. But we do actually have one there. So we'll throw this in the ultrasonic or something later. Prawns, lobsters, insects of the sea. Yeah, you make a compelling argument, sort of. And probably the closest things to insects that I've ever eaten, of course, are snails. At least that I've known of willingly. There have been a few too many drunken episodes in my youth that I may have consumed other things that I didn't realise were normally not to be consumed. Not sure if I had Mapani worms. I have a feeling I didn't. I think it was offered to me and I sort of went, yeah, maybe not. Mapani worms are a South African thing, maybe Zimbabwean too, I'm not sure. Grasshoppers and crickets, yeah. I think a lot of people probably got turned off the whole concept of insect eating after watching the Snowpiercer movie, of which I can't believe they're actually making another remake of that. I mean, the first one was bad enough, why do it again? Doesn't matter if you put Jennifer Connelly in there, I mean, she's hot and all, but it's still not going to make me watch that movie again. I'm not sure if that Taptic engine's going to be okay or not. I might do the smart thing and actually replace it with another one, since I've got probably a fair few spares floating around. Yeah, the whole shrimp on the Barbie thing was definitely purely a marketing exercise, thanks to Paul Hogan. Hey, you're a complete fresh Shazzy. I don't want to take you. Interesting. This Taptic engine has a black sticker on it, the other one doesn't. Oh well, still an engine. Okay, I should clean up that area that's got that salt crystal residue. I'm going to be using my water alcohol combination mix, so we're going to knock out a lot of this. Dry brush a fair bit out. So much for those seals stopping moisture getting in, eh? The reason why I mix with water is so that it will actually redissolve the salt, because salt generally isn't soluble, at least not meaningfully, in IPA on its own. So all that will happen is you'll just get a I'm trying to think of the word. Basically, you won't pick up the salt. Well, physically, maybe carry it out, but it certainly won't in terms of dissolving it. But once I've done that, then I can flush it with IPA. Like that. Alligator tastes like chicken a bit. I found alligator, maybe it was just bad luck on my behalf, but I found alligator didn't even taste like chicken. It was more nothing. It was just this sort of transparent, bland, almost crunchy type meat. Makes me wonder if it was even cooked, and I think I just ate alligator raw. Actually, in fairness, it wasn't alligator. It was crocodile. Roux meat can be nice, but like ostrich and emu, well, predominantly ostrich, the lack of fat makes it quite a tricky beast to deal with. Yeah, it can be very hard to get people to find it palatable because of the fact that it's just so dry without any sort of the fat. If you drown it in something that's fatty and you lose all the supposed health properties, well, then it actually tastes good again. Barbecued rattlesnake. Now that's something I haven't tried. Not that I'm a massive meat eater these days. I mean, I've basically sort of reduced myself down to chicken, turkey, fish. And I try to have several vegetarian meals a week. Alright. This one's turned into a little bit more of a drama than I expected. So we'll have to let the person know and say, look, you know, your phone's pretty salty, mate, so don't use it to post any comments on the internet. You may get some backlash. Still consume too much whole milk products. That's hard because, you know, yogurt, cheese, all those sort of things, they're just so damn tasty. I think the hard thing with dairy products is you have that extra removal step from the beast. Whereas the reality is, you know, the dairy industry does result in a lot of deaths because, well, you know, they've got to do something with the young. They've got to keep the cows lactating, and so they means they have to get them pregnant, which means then you're going to have unwanted stud male calves. Something's got to be done with them. Rocky Mountain oysters. Haven't tried those. I've had plenty of Sydney oysters and things like that. Been a long time now, though. I think my paranoia stops me more than anything these days when it comes to consuming foods, particularly seafoods. But there's a strange... This doesn't happen very often, by the way. There is a strange ailment that you can acquire eating certain reef fish in this country. Certainly probably other countries too. Where... I don't exactly remember what it is, but what will happen is you will start to find that hot things feel cold and cold things feel hot. And so what will happen is you'll start feeling... Like if the weather's cool, you'll start feeling hot, and so you'll strip off your clothes more, which just makes things even worse. I was just trying to remember what it was, but yeah, it's a temperature sensing reversal issue. It's a toxic, it's a poisoning type thing. It's not actually a viral or bacterial thing, as far as I understand. It's just one of those weird things that happens with some fish that you eat. So I think it's not so much the type of fish, it's just sometimes the fish has this particular chemical running through its body. Rocky Mountain oyster testicles. No, it's not pufferfish. Pufferfish will kill you. Close. Rocky. What sort of testicles? They like sheep balls or something like that. I always remember the movie. Was it Funny Farm with what's his name? Who's? Damn it! Why can't I remember his name? Who's the guy out of Funny Farm? I'll know it as soon as someone mentions it. Chevy Chase, thank you very much. Yeah, and then that he's in the restaurant and is stuffing his craw with these bowls of what look like nice looking things, and he finds out they're sheep balls. They're sheep balls. Trick is to cut them up high. It was a good movie. I often contemplate doing similar things to what he did, like camping out on top of the hill of the road and waiting for lunatics in their cars to come driving past and roll a great big rock in their face. And I'll put that in backwards. Because there are definitely some cars that go past here which are just like the postman in Funny Farm. Loud, obnoxious, smoky, just everything. Now that would make a good YouTube stream. Hey Tim Fun. Sheep's brains. Yes, sheep's brains actually can be delicious on toast. As long as it stays warm. As soon as they get a bit cold, they're disgusting. So yeah, gotta eat them while they're hot. We used to call them lamb's fry, I think it was, but I always thought lamb's fry was liver. Either way, yeah, if you're gonna have sheep's brains, it's gotta be hot. And it's such a huge amount of work to properly clean them before you eat them. Lamb's fries liver. That's what I thought. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Hello. Right, that phone just died on me. Okay, this one's doing fine. So that was the charge port one. .47. That one seems to have a dead battery. Everything's wrong with this one. I think TriStar's probably dead. I might have to hold this one off this guy for a bit longer. Looks like it's booting, but it's got zero current draw, and it just completely reset itself. Alright, well, you all saw that. You all saw that happen. That just completely reset itself. And it's getting hot. Around about there, which is the NAND. Fantastic. Alright, that one's going to have to be have a sit down and talk type job. At least the other phone's working. This one will probably just be sent to the bin, I'd say. No, it wasn't midway through an update. It was actually working, but just with touch issues before. When I started this one, then I couldn't close it properly. Needs to say it's misbehaving anyway. Don't you dare break my new screen. Nothing more frustrating than that. Put on a new screen and then crack while you're trying to get it off again. Ah, like that noise. Anyway, the NAND's getting hot, so this one's coming out. Yep. No. I'll put this one aside. I'll talk to the person, tell them that, you know, it's no good. The salt's gotten into it. We tried. I thought that maybe we can get away with that, but I should have known better. Let's see. Zero effect. I've contemplated statistics on that, and I've found that overall, I still come out ahead closing it up, then testing, rather than testing, then shutting off, then putting it all together and closing up. Anyway, that's... replacing the haptics shouldn't do it, no. Diet of saltiness. Oh well, doesn't matter. So that's 3 out of 4, that's not bad. And I'm running out of audio, so therefore I am now going to close up. Thank you all for watching. I'll let you know how the iPhone goes with the customer. But until then, I better go. You all take care. I'll see you next time.